are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hey, everybody's here. I'm rusty.
Captain's log.
I know I'm rusty. Here, this is going to be a short captain's log tonight, gang. So here it is. Captain's log, stardate 2501.08. AMOK Time, written by Theodore Sturgeon and directed once again by Joseph Pevney. This episode's got a lot of firsts. So we're just going to talk about those and then we'll get right into it. This is the first time or the first trip to Vulcan. It's the first Vulcan hand salute ever used. It's the first reference to live long and prosper. And it's the first time under his own will that Spock displays emotion when he discovers he hasn't killed Captain Kirk.
Spoiler.
Oh, no. Haven't you seen it?
There's a lot of interesting stuff in regards to that, too, actually.
Yeah. So this is one of the best episodes of the second season. And Roddenberry knew it was special because it was supposed to be in the first season. And Theodore Sturgeon ran late on the script. And so he didn't want it rushed. So he pushed it back to the second season. It was going to be the first episode to start the second season. But again, Theodore Sturgeon was late. So they had to do a bunch of rewrites and they didn't want to skimp on it. They wanted to get it right. So they pushed it back. So now it's what, number 4, something like that of the second season.
Well, right. But of course, it was the first one they aired in the second season, but it was in the first, wasn't it the first one they aired in the second season?
No, the first one to air was Cat's Paw.
No, this is season 2, episode 1.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's right. We're doing it in the order they were filmed. So they did show this ahead of the other ones. Okay.
Which I don't know if that was a special effects thing or whatever slowed down the other ones that were able to. But yeah, this is what they led off season 2.
Saved a lot of money in this one for, like, are you done with the captain's log?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They saved a lot of money in this one just by using the Romulan helmets.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
The Romulan helmets, they use that so they didn't have to do ears for all the Vulcans.
Well, I did notice that there was quite a few ears anyway. They had Spock's wife or whatever she was, and then the guy that was going to challenge him, but she didn't pick, he had ears, and then he had
large ears.
T'Pau.
T'Pau had
what's
ears.
Funny is Stan really took a beating by Spock in that, so subtly and logically. He goes, looks at him up and down. He goes, I don't see the logic in Chipper. He just sized him up like, you know
what's interesting is that was the actor who got that role of Stan. It was a consolation prize because before the second season started, they weren't sure Nimoy was going to come back because he was holding out for a bigger contract. So they talked to Montaigne because he played the Romulan in the first season episode, and they thought they would write a new Vulcan character, and he would be the guy. So he was turning down work for almost a month, waiting for the go ahead. And his agent kept saying, "You got this in the bag. You got it in the bag," and it didn't work out. So
part of the fringe benefit that they gave him to make him feel better was he actually got to sleep with T'Pring.
I didn't see that in my research.
Is that really a benefit? I'm not sure.
Wait, was it T'Pring or T'Pau?
Yeah, which one? Yeah, would you say Tau or T'Pring?
You know, she is all of Vulcan in one person.
That's right, rolled into one.
Rolled into one.
Yeah.
Oljika.
Have you guys discovered the documentary series? It's on Prime called "The Center Seat: 55 Years of Star Trek."
It's a series?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw it.
I don't think I've seen that.
I watched the first. The first episode. Well, the first episode is like how the series evolved, and Desilu Studios and all that kind of stuff. Second season is the animation. Third season is the first film. The fourth episode is then Star Trek 2 and 3, and then for some reason the 11th episode is Star Trek 5 and 6. And then it goes into Next Gen, which I don't care about that crap. But
what's the name of that show, Aaron?
It's called The Center Seat: 55 Years of Star Trek.
That Denise Crosby hosted, is it?
No, it's Crusher. Dr. Crusher hosts it.
Oh, right.
Gates McFadden?
Before or after all the plastic surgery?
After.
By the way, before we forget, guys, everybody say hi to everybody in the comments. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody. So good to see everybody back.
Okay.
We're all rested and ready to go. We're like Nixon.
I
rested.
I got to get Anna's opinion on this. The thing that stood out to me at the very beginning of this show, when Nurse Chapel's taking the soup into Spock, Dr. McCoy calls her over and humiliates her in front of the captain.
Oh, I know.
I know.
That is a cringy scene.
Yeah, it is. And he goes,
soup she brought.
You never quit hoping, do you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't you just humiliate her more? And then he's like, no, it's okay, nurse. Go ahead. I've done my work here. I've humiliated you. So
yeah. It is a real dick move on
Yeah, it was. It was
not really for the intro. I found the intro just a little bit odd. Kirk climbs up that tube and he starts walking around like he's got some intention. He's going somewhere. And then Bones comes out of nowhere and says, Jim, Bones, I'm busy. I'm a busy man. I'm busy looking around.
He goes, yeah, you got a minute? He goes, Jim, you got a minute? And he goes, a minute.
Yeah,
he's like really annoyed. So it was pretty funny.
But then it really takes off. Then it takes off.
But when he delivers that line, he'll die, Jim, he'll die, and that's when it settles in. It was a good moment, though. Turned it into a good moment.
Yeah,
just the show off.
That whole thing came about by Roddenberry. Wanted to explore sexuality, and procreation and all that kind of stuff. And, one of the, I thought was brilliant way to explain Spock was to talk about the salmon returning, swimming upstream, otherwise or where they die, before they mate, I thought that was really cool. That was a neat twist to bring it back around.
Yeah, it was good.
I liked, we kind of saw a different side of Spock in this, which was really sort of interesting with him on the verge of losing control and trying to maintain control. Mm-hmm. We weren't used to, like you said, it was the first time we've seen him show some emotion. And that the scene where he's, after he tells Kirk what's, the biology thing, they have that discussion. And then Kirk goes, I'll get you to Vulcan somehow. And then, Spock's in his room, and Uhura hails him on the monitor and says, Mr. Spock. And he goes, leave me alone. He crushes the monitor.
Yeah.
You get an idea of his strength. Of course, we got some of that in the that wimpy romance episode where they're on the planet with the spores that you guys like.
Yeah, Spock's one horny dude when he wants to.
Yeah.
It's funny when you talking about the salmon a minute ago, and they use the other reference, like the eel birds of Regulus.
Oh, yeah.
Something like you're trying to picture that. Writhing around in the air like mating.
Well, the thing that cracked me up is when McCoy goes, he's as tight-lipped as a what was it, a clam-mouthed something or other. What was it? It was a very serious moment there after he tells him he's going to die, right? And he goes, Jim, he won't tell you anything. He's as tight-lipped as such an durian clam mouth or something. I'm like, how do you say that line without cracking up in this incredibly serious moment between these two guys?
Did you guys watch the the modern version, the enhanced versions.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think that I thought it was really cool how they
CGI.
yeah, the CGI stuff, like where they after they beam down, you show them walk. They show them walking across that like gigantic arch, and they're
Yep.
really tiny. And then
Yep.
there's a sequence where I think it's Dr. McCoy beams back up, and it's a bird's eye shot of the arena where the wedding was taking place. And then you can see the city, whatever that city is on Vulcan, all the way off in the distance. And you see just the little figure twinkling, as he's beaming up. I thought that was a really neat.
Didn't they take that from the Search for Spock, that archway, and then put it in?
Probably,
that's
because that would be the first place.
No, actually, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was in.
No, it was in the first movie.
Motion picture.
Yeah, the motion picture. Yeah,
that's where it was from. Yeah,
they used it in Star Trek 4 though. 3 when they brought him back to life though. It was the same thing. So they may have. Yeah,
the Search for Spock.
I thought the one thing I was thinking when they showed that long shot when the remastered version with the CGI, I was like, man, how far did those dudes have to carry that old lady, the old Spock lady, to POW? I mean, if they were in that city and they walked her all the way up there,
right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you hope that they transported or flew her there in some kind of little shuttle or something.
They have 10 times our physical strength or whatever.
That's true.
It would have taken every ounce, man, to do that walk. Be like, can you imagine? Hey, I got invited to a wedding. Yeah, I'm not going to that Vulcan wedding, man. You know how far you have to walk? No.
When you're a young guy, though, you don't think like that because we're a little older now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, their backs didn't hurt.
What it was, bring it on. I thought, that's why everybody told me move them out of their homes.
Yeah,
professional mover because I was always game to move on it.
Sure. And one of the things I love about Shatner is his nuance. And one of the scenes was when after the first fight they switch out weapons and he gets this kind of a whip thing,
Yeah.
And they hand it to him and he takes it and he kind of turns and he's like what the fuck is this?
It was called like a La Lupa or something.
Yeah. That's it.
The Loipa, La Lupa.
Loipa, yeah.
Loipa. That's
the Loipa, the Lupa.
But I love his facial expression there. He's out of breath. He's still, he's acting like he's out of breath. And he's like, he looks like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Or you had that great line where McCoy goes, you're going to have to
grabs it by the feet with it.
Yeah.
Feet.
Oh, Lynn says it's the Awoon.
Awoon.
Okay.
The Awoon, yeah.
Would know.
There was a or something I thought, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, there was that funny line where McCoy's going to gives him that shot, and he says, "You're going to have to kill him, Jim." And he goes, "Kill Spock? That's not what we came to Vulcan for, is it?"
Yeah, that is a good line.
And
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, didn't he? He was deliberate when he said that because he knew he was going to give him the injection. No, that was in reverse. Okay,
yeah.
Perk the injection.
I thought there was a couple of, as much as I love this episode, there was a couple of moments there where they left in the dialogue where they purposely didn't include certain information so they could willfully be tricked. It's kind of like, wouldn't you ask about the rules of engagement before you volunteered to go ahead and get in a fight?
That's what I was bringing up is like when McCoy brought up, he brought up the Vulcan atmosphere, how it wasn't a fair fight.
Right.
That's how he talked them into giving him the shot, to simulate his death. And it was right after when wasn't he say that right on the heels of him saying you're going to have to kill him?
No, it was after he gave him he was kneeled right down.
He wanted him to overexert himself. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. But I mean, I'm talking about early on when, T'Pau is like, she kind of gives them instructions of what's going on, but she doesn't give him all the information, and he doesn't ask. And it's kind of like suddenly he's in a fight to the death. And he was like, wait a minute, what's this stuff to the death? I mean, that'd be the first thing I'd ask is like, okay, give me the rules here before I agree to do this.
Yeah, Kirk was just trying to look out for Spock because he thought in Spock's condition, he'd get his ass kicked by,
Right.
I thought that's where Nimoy's acting. To me, Nimoy's acting was the best in this.
Yes.
I get Kurt's charisma and all that, but Shatner. But Nimoy, when he's doing this, and he's like, and he says to Powell, he's like, he pleads with her even through his fever, like
through his blood fever. Yeah,
like, please, it's not right.
He doesn't understand, and yeah.
I thought that was a great moment right there.
He speaks.
Yeah,
it shows Spock's how willful he can be. Like he fights through that fever dream.
Yeah.
Are they Vulcan or are they human?
I burn, but I don't burn like Paul Taylor does with $10 Canadian.
Woo!
Episode, one of my favorites. Spock is allowed to show emotion. Plus, Spock's wife is hot, but not a nice person. She causes the whole problem. And isn't that always the root cause?
Yeah, but it's funny.
Anna, you got a comment on that?
It's so true. She went for she just dumped him and she was acting like she was already pregnant with Stan's baby. You know what I mean? And it's like, so even if Spock had decided to stay, he'd be raising another man's kid.
But that's a great sequence where Spock asks for clarification, and she says, "Explain." So she's like, so she makes Spock look like as far as her logic goes, looks like an amateur, with the lack of emotion. And Spock says, why do I don't see what you see in him?
Well,
then she breaks it down and says, if you decided you want to be with me, you would be out, with Captain Kirk somewhere, and Stan would still be there. It's beautiful.
And in other words, I'll be boning Stan when you're away.
Right. Right.
Well, they only do it once every 7 years, so.
Right.
True.
So basically,
How they do that.
Ponfar is like Vulcan blue balls. He's gonna die if he doesn't go back. Yeah, he's got green balls.
But see, that's the thing that was kind of confusing is Stan obviously was not in the middle of Ponfar. You know what I mean? He didn't have the blood feud rage going on that Spock did.
Right.
So I'm wondering if you're separated from the planet, this is something that catches up with you once every 7 years. But if you're living on Vulcan, it's like, yeah, you can do it whenever, and it never really becomes an issue.
It's not his 7-year cycle, though.
They'll have a social structure, and there's marriage, though, because the whole ritual is about marriage and challenge. So it's about marriage. It's not about just the Ponfar. It's about him going back to take his wife while in Ponfar.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact
was preordained when they were kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and there's another expense, Aaron. There was another set of ears because it was the little girl in the photograph who had to have the ears too.
It always cracked me up when they would always quote that as being like, "Oh, this is so expensive to put ears on." I'm like, it couldn't be that expensive. I mean.
Well, Spock's ears were like $300 back then.
Yeah,
right?
but also the amount of time they have to sit in the chair and do the makeup. And
to get it so it doesn't look like they're stuck on it.
Pay the makeup artist for that extra time.
Right. I mean, I know, but you think I just keep thinking of modern day. You think that's nothing in terms of budget. But back then, $300 was half the budget of the show. So it's like.
Well, but this was an expensive episode. It went like $250,000 over or something like that, because everything had to be created. All the Vulcan outfits, all the Vulcan the weapons, the carrying thing, the music thing. The bells, all that stuff had to be created so that it didn't look like they just bought it at a
Well, the clumsiest one was the big axe with the big weight on the end of it. That looked completely clumsy to me. Like,
it doesn't make sense because it would be counterweighted.
Yeah, exactly. They seem to handle it well. They must have rehearsed with it, but it just looks so clumsy.
Oh, I love that.
Vulcans know how to do it.
Yeah, you talk about the subtleties of Shatner's performance. When the guy handed him that thing, and he kind of like when he felt the weight of it, he was kind of like, "What the heck is this? This is for real," kind of thing. It was nice. It was a nice moment there too.
Yeah, it did look like it had weight.
It's funny. Back real quick back to this 7-year thing. I'm thinking, how would we behave if we didn't for 7 years? How much aggression do you think it would create in a male to not blow.
Think about how much work you would get done.
But, it's like Costanza in the Seinfeld episode, right? When his girlfriend couldn't have sex for a period of time and he became a genius because he wasn't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. I forgot about that.
I'm telling you,
Oh.
these young males now, they sit in front of the internet and they're so unproductive because of that. They have access to porn and all this, and it just ruins their need to get out there and produce to impress females at all, because that's what part of it is about. Being male is to impress the female, to go out and build or do whatever to impress them,
to attract them to you.
Yeah, they don't have to. Their brains get tricked into thinking that part's been satisfied, so they don't produce.
Boys have such a hard life.
Yeah, I know. All you have to do is wait around for the right guy that has enough money, Anna.
Both have hard lives. It's not exclusive to one or the other.
No, Anna just waited for the right guy to come along with enough moolah, and then she was, let's do it.
Listen, I will totally every time say I don't envy what you have to go through pregnancy. That's for sure. When I watched that, it was like,
oh yeah.
I really have a completely different view on women.
I'm so happy I have a stem on the apple.
I don't, but my wife got a hysterectomy.
Well, she lets it out every now and then.
Let's what out?
The stem.
Oh, goodness.
She does?
The stem on you. The metaphor of a stem on the apple.
Well, I assume you mean your vasectomy, right?
No,
vasectomy?
The stem on the apple is the penis.
I know, but what are you referring to when you got the stem?
Meaning that I'm a man and not a woman.
That
I would have to have.
Oh, I thought you meant you squid.
You guys done yet? I'm just going over here.
Now, Ron,
You're
boys are different than girls, you see. And
men and women are different,
They're
right?
Let me just tell you.
It all becomes clear to me. How did I get 4 kids? I don't know. I better go ask my wife about that right now.
Evidently, some people do, Paul.
Paul's a biologist. He understands the biology of Vulcans.
Yeah. Biology, as in Vulcan biology? As in the biology of Vulcans?
But look,
no shit. What do you think I'm talking about?
Look how they manage, though, in my head, my screen name here, how they put nut in there.
Elvis Presley and the Coup Nut Calife.
You get it?
You might be onto something there.
I do get it.
Yeah, see?
So getting back to the episode.
Well, this is the theme
I see
of
nothing
the
changed
episode.
in 2025.
Right.
Don't you think Spock was very sensitive and compassionate towards Nurse Chapel in that second scene where she comes in and she's going to wake him up from the sleep, and then he's like, that was kind of very sentimental, sort of very touching scene.
But the only reason
you know why? Because if he can't make it home, he's got to bang her.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. The reason is because he's like, actually, if I can't leave the ship, I've always got that as my
it's gonna, well,
my
kind of
command there.
He's going to make her dreams come true.
Come on, hey, Nurse Chapel, bring back that plomeek soup.
Yeah, stay a while.
I gotta say that soup looked disgusting when it was flying across the wall.
Yeah, that purple,
like
it looks like something Linda Blair would spit out.
Oh, yeah, it was not. It's like the food, that's the one thing about Star Trek. The food in the future is not very appealing looking. You got them colored cubes, like dyed potatoes or whatever they were.
Yeah. Melons.
Yeah, whatever they were. Those gold little midgets taking those color balls and putting them in their drinks Journey to Babel. We haven't got to yet.
The whole show would have a different feel if D'Pring's name was T Melons.
Oh my God.
Stan's original name in the script was Spore.
Oh.
And they thought it was.
Is it really?
Yeah. And they thought it was too on the nose.
Yeah, I know. I mean, come on. Might as well name him Gonad or something.
Yeah. Name him Sperm.
Yeah. Merps. I failed to see the logic in preferring merps over me.
I did a comic book called Tachyon, of course, that almost got me thrown out of the industry, but I didn't write it, so I can't take full credit for the failure of it. But there was a female character, and Kupperberg was the writer, and the character's name was Stain. And everybody was like, "Are you kidding me?" But for some reason, they did not change the name of this female character. And I think they had, on the cover of the comic, I think it said "Slain by Stain."
Oh my god!
I could see a male character getting away with it as a part of a gang or something, but not a female.
Well, isn't that the guy's name in Iron Man? Jebediah Stane.
Oh yeah, you mean the Mickey Rourke?
No. He was Whiplash.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, yeah. Wasn't he Jedediah Stane? Something Stane.
Jebediah.
No, just throwing that out there, conversation.
Yeah. Well,
fair enough. So
let's move on to his first emotional reaction. That was the first. This was the first. It was also the first time we ever saw any of the main characters on their home planet, and the only time. Actually, we never saw Earth in that century, the 23rd century.
That's correct.
That would have been too expensive.
Right. It's also the first time they used "live long and prosper."
And he said, "I shall do neither." I killed my captain and my friend. That was a very touching moment there. There was a lot of emotional moments in this episode.
Yeah, to me again, Nimoy was brilliant in it.
Yeah,
it was like this one and the other one. It made you appreciate what a tough job it is for him to never show emotion.
Mm-hmm.
The contrast is so remarkable when he does show it. That's why at the end of it,
when you read what the guest stars had to say about Nimoy and Shatner during the era, there was a lot of them didn't like Nimoy because he always stayed in character, so he was very aloof. Like he didn't want to get outside that character.
Well, Nimoy himself, what he said about that was, over the course of by the time second season, it was weighing heavily on him because he wasn't trying. It was just, he was doing it so much that he started becoming that. Actually, he said it became very difficult for him to go on set or go out actually after the shooting because he was constantly like that and he wasn't really trying that hard to be.
Right.
He was just always being not smiling and things like that, and affected his moods, he said. Because actually one of the things that gets you out of a bad mood in real life, this is a real thing, is when your facial muscles, you pretend to smile. If you're in a bad mood, if you walk around, you bring those facial muscles up, it triggers serotonin or something to get you in a mood because it's triggering your brain to think there's, something happy to think about. So that's probably
what my problem is. That's my problem. I walk around like this all the time.
Yeah, you're a very serious guy.
Did you guys ever read his books, like I'm Not Spock and I Am Spock?
Yeah, no. I think that might be where that came from when he talked about that.
Yeah.
Well, Nimoy really, if you think about it, did such a masterful job of, that would be really hard. You'd think, just walk around and not show any emotion, but he always had that little level of emotion kind of creeping through, like a wry smile, a little corner of the mouth sometimes, because he was like balancing that half human, half Vulcan, trying to keep his human emotions. And that's a really complex thing to deal with. And he really pulled it off exceptionally well.
That's probably why Shatner pissed him off so much during the filming of Devil in the Dark. Because had trained himself to be so serious, and then when Shatner came back and joked about his, Nimoy tried to be nice and the emotion about when he was pain, it was referencing Shatner losing his father.
Right.
Shatner kind of made fun of it, and it pissed off Nimoy. Was probably part of the reason.
Could be. That's a great episode, though. I love that episode.
Yeah.
The lunch pizza monster.
Yes, the lunch pizza.
I love that episode, and I'm always hungry after I watch it. So it's like
that's because it was burnt to a crisp.
What throws me off after that? I get what you're saying with the piece because I was like that too. Is when McCoy and the sound of his hands going through the cement.
Yeah.
Like slathered it on. Like
I could cure the common cold, Jim.
I want to, like let's talk about Kelly's performance too because he's great in this as well. Because at the end, I guess isn't it ad-libbed, Graham, when he says "in a pig's eye"?
It could be. I didn't see anything about that, but it could be.
I'm pretty sure he ad-libbed that. And
How about when Spock invites him down to the planet? When he says, I'm permitted to have my closest friends be there. And Kirk says, yeah, okay, great. And then he turns and goes, and I also request McCoy. And McCoy just takes it like the Southern gentleman he is, and he goes, I would be honored, sir.
Yeah,
I love that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, because deep down how they really feel about each other. They just bust balls like brothers do,
Right. Right. I mean, it starts off, there's some, definitely some stuff there, but they come to understand each other,
That's the one thing I think was missing in Abrams' Star Trek was that relationship. Instead, they played upon the Uhura Spock, hooking up.
Which was awful.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. It's just so they can put in that, who knows?
Yeah, that was
interracial stuff, on purpose.
They just totally rewrote Jim Kirk as a character, as a young man. We know about him as a young man.
Much
about him as a young man.
Yeah, he was a college brat. He didn't have any of the dignity or the
right. He was a walking library, in the original.
He grew up without a father, though, in those movies, so you have to kind of take that into consideration.
He would have been a great character for another ship.
And they got rid of his brother too.
Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There was no mention of
the mustache. He wasn't Kirk in that. He was in a different universe. There's an alternate timeline. So
that's what I mean.
That's how.
Yeah, but his brother was older than him, right?
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, he had to be. He had a mustache.
Did he talk about him losing his brother in it?
No. There's just no mention of him ever.
Yeah, they probably just.
I know. I bet you JJ doesn't know.
Well,
he probably has no idea that Captain Kirk is his brother.
Again, his dad died on that ship, so he only had one kid. He didn't. How could he have produced a brother? I guess an older brother.
He's older. If he's older, then he should have been born.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Mm.
I will say though that there are some good moments with the guy who plays McCoy, who also plays the guy from The Boys. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, I thought his McCoy was right on.
His name, I can't think.
Oh, Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban. That's it. He made a really good McCoy. He nailed it pretty much.
He's a good actor. I mean, he played the assassin, an assassin in what's that series of movies about the spy? He's like a spy, and
that must be early on in his career.
Yeah, it was early on in his career. Matt Damon is in him.
Oh, Born Ultimatum.
Yes, the Born. Yeah, I think it's the first one, Born Ultimatum.
He kills it in one of them. I think.
Well, he was in Lord of the Rings. He was Judge Dredd. He's been all over the place.
Yeah, I just saw him, and we just did
Riddick.
Which one? Riddick.
He's in the third one.
Was he?
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
He played Judge Dredd too.
He was in the Thor movie. He played, the Executioner.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right.
He's another one, just like the guy who plays Bucky. He just won a Grammy Award, or not Grammy, Golden Globe.
Oh, did he? What for?
He's a really good actor. I can't think
that Trump movie, right?
It's
like a Trump documentary or mockumentary, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see it or anything. I just saw that he won a Gold Globe or something. I didn't know it was a Trump thing.
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
We're getting an echo all of a sudden.
Hey, Jeff Galooly and Tanya Harding that played Tanya Harding, your friend who stopped that whole thing for Nancy Kerrigan.
Galooly, he played in that movie. He played that.
He was Jeff Galooly. I'm only gonna get it.
Ron, I think you're echoing.
Yeah, how do I?
Well, he's breaking up a little bit.
Let's see. Echo. Cancellations.
Might kick him out and bring him back in too. That might work.
Hold on, let's test it. Hold on. Aaron, say something.
Hello.
Oh wait, I got you muted.
Oh.
Okay, I don't think it's you.
Hello.
Yikes.
What the heck was that? Okay, now it's okay.
How about now? Yeah. Here, kick me out and bring me back in.
But don't bring him back in now.
Hey, we got no echo.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how it works? Just let him stew back here in the green room.
His mic probably just needs
hey, look at that.
For you, Aaron.
I figured as much.
Dose of daddy love. Because I knew you were going to say that, actually.
Yeah, did you? I guess I'm too predictable, I guess.
Oh, because it's something I would say.
We're too much alike, Ron. Separated at birth.
Yeah, Aaron.
Poor Uhura and Chekhov. They get like 2 seconds on the bridge scene, and that's it in this episode. And Scotty, he's not in it at all, is he?
I don't think he is in this. No.
Yeah, but isn't there a character that was introduced in this for the first time or something? Oh no, you know what it is? Is this the first episode that DeForest Kelly's name is on the script credits?
Oh yeah, because they didn't bring him in till the second. They didn't bring his credits until the second season.
As a starring.
Yeah.
I think he was on the credits, but he was.
Yeah, but at the end credits with
extended the credits, and they brought in the soprano singer for the end of it. That was the first time.
Right. I never knew there was a difference, to be honest with you, in those songs.
Early on is a vast difference. You hear it.
Yeah, but unless you hear them back, it was hard to differentiate it. When I used to see it in reruns, I always thought it was the same thing all 3 years.
It was a little bit in the first season that the opening credit music was more muffly and whoa, 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 whoa.
Right.
In the second season, they brought in
the opera singer,
up tempoed it. Yeah, it was a little more up tempo, and then they brought in the opera singer, so a better version.
Oh, there's as much as all those firsts were in this, we have a last also. This is the last time Chekhov wore the monkey's wig.
Aww.
His hair finally grew out.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I think they decided, the monkey's phase is winding down, maybe. I don't know.
Did those guys get paid? Was their rates like commercial rates, in the sense that if you speak in a commercial, you're going to get paid more than if you don't speak? Like Uhura sitting on the bridge with no lines, cost them as much money as if she does have lines?
Yes, I believe so, because Uhura in particular had a killer contract in the beginning, better than just about anybody, and they had to renegotiate it with her.
Right.
Uhura?
I got that because Roddenberry and her were.
That was so good.
Because she was stooping Roddenberry.
Yeah,
I get that part, but what in the contract made it so? Just the pay?
Yeah, the pay. Yeah,
per episode, because they didn't think she was going to be in every episode, and then she started being in every episode. They're like, "Holy crap, this is costing us a fortune."
Do you guys ever get the sense of who it was who sexually harassed Grace Lee Whitney? Was it Roddenberry?
No, it was a producer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
From another show. It wasn't anybody in the Star Trek thing, I think.
Didn't she talk about this?
Yeah,
she did, or somebody, or Shatner did at one point.
Even. Yeah, it's in the book, in the first season book that I had been going through, and I think I talked about it in one of the episodes.
Now you're actually.
I know it's you again.
Yeah, Ron, don't blame it on other people.
You too. Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
Bring it in.
See, Echo's gone. It's you, Ron.
Ron is one guy I would never pick a fight with. I can tell you that.
Wait a second. Maybe it is me. Hold on. Testing. No, that's good.
No.
Hello.
You're good.
Hello.
We're all good.
That's better.
It
Okay.
fixed itself.
Yeah.
Talk in that deeper register. I think that's it.
I'll talk like Darth Vader.
It's gonna hurt after a while. Oh man.
Yeah, it would.
So, did you guys notice directly behind me, that giant
Yes.
Enterprise I got for Christmas?
Oh,
My
wow.
son got that for me.
That's not
awesome.
Tomy Enterprise, is it?
That's the Playmobil one. The side of it comes off, and it has like
Holy
warp
crap.
speed and phaser sound. Or
Can you bring it up to the camera and
Yeah, go get it.
yeah. We'll make you big and we'll
Aaron, do you have a load in your pants?
No, I get baggy pants. It's more comfortable to sit down in. You
oh, excuse me.
Oh wow, name calling. Jeez.
Oh yeah. Well, you know when you're going to lose an argument, you start by calling names, and that's
That's awesome, dude. Look at the size of
that's-
this thing.
it's gigantic, man. I can make my own movie.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool, man. I love it. Does
Now
it like-
that opens up in places, right?
Yeah, on the actually on this side here, this panel comes off,
Okay.
and well, here I can. Let me show you over here. I can't. It has to be.
does it
set
light
down.
up at all anywhere?
Yeah, watch. So this comes off right here, this panel. Okay. So you have the dilithium crystal in there, and there's a little button here you push, and then it starts.
Ah.
And then these things
awesome.
start.
That's so cool.
That's
Check this
neat.
out. So this comes off, right? And you got a red alert.
Well, that's awesome.
I got to wait for it to cycle through because then you can.
They really had to increase the dimensions of the underside of it to fit all that in there, huh?
Yeah. It looks thicker in a lot in every place, I think.
If you turn on warp speed, these lights start going faster and faster.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And then there's also proton torpedo fire down here as well.
Can you bring it over like that and just so we can see the inside there? Is that possible or? Don't trip. Don't slip or trip. Oh wow! Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
That's so cool.
Oops.
Oh no.
Oh, hurrah, just bit it.
That
They're
would be
shaking around.
you're like Apollo moving the ship around.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's
Yeah.
Kirk? Is Kirk in there?
Yeah, he fell off his chair, his butt sticking up in the air right there
Oh, I see it. I see it.
between Sulu and Chekhov there.
Yeah.
The only mistake they made was putting the doors. They should have moved them to the right a little bit.
Right. They're not directly in front. Yeah.
Yeah, but so you got this, like I said, you can do that. You put on the warp speed and the lights spin faster and you get the sound effects. There's also proton torpedo fire. If I had another arm, I'd do it, but anyway.
Photon torpedo,
Photon.
not proton.
Photon, I'm sorry.
If you stare at those nacelles, you'll get hypnotized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
That's
know,
really
can
cool.
you hear this?
No, awesome. I love that effect, that sound effect.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite sound effects in the show. was the
I
photon.
love the sound of the phasers.
that too. Yeah.
I love
It
that.
just it sounds like something that would be firing plasma, like
Yeah.
bolts of energy. Like
And in the third season, they really got it down too. The effect, like it would come from that underside, and they had those like I think they were blue at that point, those blue phaser blasts. You know.
yeah. Because early they were red.
Yeah. I think
then-
there might have been yellow at one time too, or was that the photon torpedoes?
The photon torpedoes were always yellow orangish.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Weren't they blue at some point, or am I
No, the
mistaken?
phasers were blue.
That's
Hey,
right.
So, yeah.
This doesn't have phaser fire though. It has the photon torpedoes, but it doesn't have the phaser fire, which is interesting.
One of my favorite posters I had was a huge poster of the underside of the Enterprise firing those blue phasers out.
Oh, cool. Oh, I know the picture.
You know that one? I had a huge poster of that on my wall when I was young.
In fact, I think that's the cover of the Making of Star Trek, isn't it?
Graham, make them small again.
Oh, sorry.
I'm getting self-conscious here.
That's all right.
I'll zoom into Aaron's background and see what he has.
We got 10 minutes.
There you go.
Look at all those toys back there.
Yeah.
Got a nice.
Anybody get any cool toys for Christmas other than Aaron?
I got dinosaurs too.
I got some action figures, but I don't know who sent them to me. I collect Thrawn action figures, and two of these showed up on my door because I was talking about how I wouldn't buy them because it's the Ahsoka one, and I was only missing this one, and they just appeared on my doorstep. So I'm like, somebody that knows me and knows where I actually live sent these to me, and I haven't figured out who it is.
Huh?
No.
I got the NECA figures. I got the NECA Wolfman, and I picked up the Bride of Frankenstein monster. It's got the chair, and you got interchangeable hands, and one of them he's smoking the cigar. So I got the chair and him sitting next to my humidor. And the monster smoking the cigar next to my humidor.
Isn't that amazing that a couple of 60-year-old men are still getting 12-year-old boy presents for Christmas? Love it.
Here, Graham, you'll like these.
Canoe back there too. Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's amazing how they look like you.
These?
Yeah. Looks like they'd be your babies.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the dark black hair, the brown eyes.
Oh yeah.
Dot eyes.
My eyes are hazel, but they look
are they hazel? Okay.
Yeah.
I have hazel eyes too.
What color are yours, Aaron?
Brown.
Brown?
Shit. Brown.
Yeah, it goes very nicely with the white beard and no hair. It's really very striking.
Hey, Graham, did you watch that? I was speaking of Shatner before. I meant to bring this up. Did you watch that? What was it? Something with the Stars with Shatner that I sent to you?
Oh, yeah.
So that was killing me. He thinks he's so smooth.
Yeah.
He's out there and he's examining the balsa wood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's freaking balsa wood. A kid can punch through that. You know,
he's very focused too.
Yeah, he's
very focused. Then he steps back as the guy sets it up, and he adjusts his belt and his shirt, pulls his shirt down.
Yeah, I know. And then, but the killer though is when they light it on fire.
Oh, and then he lights on
fire. Get all the way through it, and he goes to the last one, and his whole arm catches on fire.
Yeah, yeah. The dude's coming over to whack it off.
Oh,
poor Bill Shatner.
Yeah,
the 70s, man.
Did you see the one where he sang Rocket Man and
in the 80s
with a cigarette and he's leaning back on the steps? Oh god.
Yeah. My favorite is when he does Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and the way he has to do a dramatic reading of it. Basically, he says, "With tangerine dreams and marmalade skies."
Marmalade skies.
It's weird. He was younger than us then.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, dude, when he was doing, I remember when I really felt old is when I realized I was watching Star Trek 2 and went, Kirk is younger than I am right now when he did that movie.
Aww.
He was 42 or something.
It was 48, actually, I think.
48, yeah. Still younger.
Yeah, still younger, way younger than I am at this point.
That's pushing 14 years younger than me.
My shoulders didn't hurt as much at 48. In fact, they didn't hurt at all.
The way he's like playing with the glasses like he's 80. Damn it, Bone. Damn it, Jim. Why are we treating yours as a funeral? It's like,
right.
I didn't act like that at 48.
I don't want to be lectured.
I would say, actually, when I had my heart operation, when I started thinking like that. That's when I was.
Did you have a heart operation?
Yeah, I told you about it, didn't I?
No. What'd you have?
I almost had a fucking heart attack. I had a 99% blocked right coronary.
Oh wow!
I didn't know. I just would be walking around and I would feel this welling up of like my jaw seizing up, like
I've heard that's a symptom.
burning sensations from my jaw. I'd be like what the fuck was that? And I kept telling my wife, there's something wrong. I'm feeling something I never felt before, So I admitted myself to the emergency room after a few days of it. And they did all these tests. And they said there was nothing wrong with me, that it was acid. They said, oh, the enzymes came back, there's you don't have elevated enzymes, blah, blah, blah. All the things that would indicate a heart attack about to happen. And they said, you're fine, just get some acid, go to a gastro guy. So I was like, okay. So I walked out of there feeling better. I was like, okay, good. Went to a gastro guy and asked me all the questions. He's like, man, there's nothing wrong with you. He said, it's acid. Because, I'm in shape. I don't drink, very moderately, but I don't smoke, and I exercise, I eat right, always have. And so he put me on this acid medication. A few weeks went by. He did a colonoscopy too, which shouldn't have happened because I actually did have a heart problem, and they put me under, and it could have killed me. Knowing this later, but I pulled through, luckily. So he gave me the acid medication. A few weeks later, it wasn't going away. It was getting worse. I was walking with my wife in the store, and I'm like, oh, God, I had to sit down. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, holy shit. I start sweating. And so I called the guy. I said, look, this isn't working. So he gave me the number of a cardio guy, and I went to him, and he looked at me, said the same thing. There's nothing wrong with it. You're fine, but let's do a stress test. I couldn't get through the first few minutes of the stress to like 5 minutes of it. I started sweating. My face got white because there was no blood getting through. And that's when he pulled me in the office. He said, it was the aide was like, holy fuck, And so they pulled me in the office. He says, look, and I was 99% sure there was nothing wrong with you. No, I'm 99% sure there is. And you need to sit on the couch until we can get you in here for a nuclear test because there's something wrong. And I was like, great. So I came home. I just sat in the couch. I just sit on the couch. Don't do anything strenuous. And so I went in there for nuclear tests, and sure enough, it came back. There was this big black blob in my right coronary.
Wow. Now, from the time you went into the emergency room to the time they did the nuclear stress test, what's the time frame there?
A few weeks.
A few weeks?
Wow. Oh, my God.
I was being told there was nothing wrong with it. I went to experts, and they said there was nothing wrong. Right.
Wow.
So I was teaching a jiu-jitsu seminar, and I collapsed on a kid. It was a blue belt, and I was rolling with him, and I had him in side control, and I just collapsed because it was happening there, and I just waited it out. And so they got in there, and they took an angioplasty and blew it up. What he said happened was you could see a piece of plaque got caught in there, and then it just built up and built up, and it swelled the artery. So it was just a ball of plaque after that.
Right.
And so they took a angioplasty, blew it out, and then put a stent in and put me on blood thinners and temporarily. And it was amazing. But my hair that's when my hair really got gray. It was after that.
Wow. Now, how long ago was that?
2017, I think.
2017. Okay. So you were in your mid 50s.
Yeah, it was 7 years ago. So I was 55.
55, yeah. Wow, man, you're lucky to be alive.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go back 100 years, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would be dead because
it just goes to show you, man, you got to be your own best doctor. You go in there and they tell you there's nothing wrong with you, and you're like, no, I think there is. So do a test.
Yeah, well, you trust in things, and it's like
I don't trust anybody.
Well, you're right, because there's so many doctors don't know what the fuck they're doing. They go for the textbook,
right?
Whatever. I went to I'm having an operation of my sinus because there's a big mass in there that looked like a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in. It's been since last March. I can't breathe out of the side of my nose. So I went in there, and in addition to a deviated septum, there's this mass, and they did a CAT scan or scan on it, and it came back where it was all black there, where it's all clear on this side. So he said, it looks like there's a tumorous mass or some kind of giant polyp in there. And it's completely blocking your thing. We have to do a biopsy on it because it could be cancerous. And so I'm like, okay, great. So he goes in.
Great.
So he goes in there with a knife and cuts a piece for the biopsy. I was like, what? It's like, all right. I grabbed this as I pulled the thing out.
Yeah, I was like, dude, can you knock me out before you do that? Jeez.
Well, he put in like numbing medication, but it didn't numb in there at all. It just numbed.
Right.
I was like, whoa.
Can't breathe.
Like I was high on cocaine. I'm just like,
There's nothing wrong with you.
yeah, nothing wrong. Yeah, man,
Get out of here.
Man up. So I'm sitting there, and he's like, after he's done it, was like so fucking pain. Like he's like, oh, I guess the pain medication didn't work. I'm like, no. So I might as well be cutting my nose off. And so, but it was on the inside too. And
Yeah, right. They're up there. Yeah,
slicing away at it. And so afterwards, it was so painful. And then that combined with the anesthetic or whatever the hell he injected
lidocaine, I think it is that they stick up there.
Yeah, I was like, literally, I started getting nauseous because I couldn't swallow, and it was like the equivalent of sticking your fingers down your throat to throw up.
Right.
So I was getting nauseous because I felt like somebody was, and so I ended up laying me back on the thing and raising my legs up in the air. So I'm like, just to get the blood going because I was getting dizzy from it. Wow. So now I got to go in on Valentine's Day and get that fucker cut out of there.
Hopefully, they're going to put you to sleep, aren't they? Do they do that?
Yeah. No, I want to be awake for that.
Well, I mean, they didn't do it.
Tough it out, Ron.
Yeah. They're going to fix the deviated septum too. So
yeah.
Hopefully, okay.
Do you have to stay overnight for that, or?
No, I don't know. I doubt it.
No, okay.
The good news is the biopsy came back negative. So
that's the big thing.
I was like, my wife was really scared and my family. And I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure it seems so crazy that I'd have a cancerous tumor inside my nostril, growing, of all places. There's that's like a 0.003 incidence of that ever happening. It's in human history. So I doubt that was it.
Wow, that's crazy.
You never know how many people have you known got hit by a train. So
more people get hit by a train than I can completely.
I got hit by a train. That's where I got my license when I was 16.
Judas Priest, Ron, you are lucky to be alive.
I told you that story too. I told you these stories. I didn't.
No.
Well, anyway.
No, wait. The train one you might have. The other one you did not. That's for sure.
Yeah, the heart thing. We had
about
that.
Yeah.
And get that, a year after that, I had a shoulder replacement put in, a titanium shoulder.
Oh my God.
And then a year after that, I had a hernia operation.
Oh, I've had that.
And we can make him better than before. Better, stronger, faster.
That's the way I look at it. I just got 2 massive injections with needles like this into my knees today. Well, like, do it, doc. Just do it.
Oh my God.
When Ron moves that repaired shoulder, you hear.
The eye, isn't the eye go?
Yeah,
the eye too.
And with the joints, it's.
But when he runs, it's the music goes, doom, doom, boom, 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 boom.
His arms are always going like this as he's leaping off a rock. And he's off balance kind of because he's running so fast. There was only one episode where they showed him in fast motion. It looked so corny they stopped doing it.
It was. I think it was the first movie.
No, there was this episode. There was an episode where he picked up a wheelbarrow. They showed him from distance. I bet you could probably pull it up. He's running with the wheelbarrow down a hill. It's got like heavy rocks in it or something, and it just looks ridiculous. Yeah. You needed that, the Bobsey, what is that? The police from England,
the Keystone Cops type thing?
Keystone Cops music or something.
Yeah. Or Benny Hill.
Yeah.
What's this, you guys? What is this show about again? I can't remember.
It's about heart health.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, don't listen to your doctor. Be your own best advocate. That's what you need to learn from this episode.
That is for sure.
Well, real quick, sorry, Aaron.
No.
You're 100% right, because when I first went in to get my nose checked, it was some girl who's fresh out of school in there. The doctors weren't there, and she prescribed this medication for allergy. She said it was just an allergic reaction, saying it was just inflammation. It was called mental Lucast. And so I took it and I started having hallucinations, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm never taking this shit again. Like, what is that? So that was it. But and the doctor told me when I finally went, he goes, yeah, or my doctor, he said, yeah, sometimes these people come out of school and they don't know what they're doing.
You go, thank you for sending her my way.
Yeah. That was my primary care guy. I told him about it. This was a special. Anyway, back to the show.
Now let's wrap her up here. We're at the hour mark. Next week we got one of the greatest episodes of all 3 seasons, and that is the Doomsday Machine.
Yes.
Made even better by the re-released enhanced version.
Think of how great, how great this show is with episodes like that. This one, Balance of Terror, all these great episodes.
Yeah. So when those episodes are, I'm in. I'll watch. I don't care what part I jump in on.
Every time.
Yeah.
And that Doomsday Machine was really benefited from this upgraded CGI.
Absolutely. So that's going to be a great one next week. I just want to make a mention that a dear friend of ours, David Williams, lost his wife last night, and that's not an easy thing. And we have there's a GoFundMe for him because he needs help, and it's pinned to the top of the chat here. So if you have the means and you can do so, please click that link, that GoFundMe link, and help support a really, really good guy. And if you can't, well, it's understandable too. Times are tough. Say prayers, because that goes a long way as well.
If you can't click it, you can just copy it and paste it, right?
Yeah. You can copy and paste it. Yep. So, and I think some of the mods had put it in the chat as well. So
I to be frank, I don't know who David Williams is. Do I know of him? What has he done?
David worked for Warner Animation for a while. He's done comics for Marvel and DC. He's a unbelievably incredible artist, and a hell of a nice guy.
Yep.
Well, I'll go donate after we get off.
That'd be awesome. Really. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Marcus. Marcus put it right in the chat there, so you can just copy and paste that, guys, and that would be a great thing. So on that note, I just want to say thank you, everybody. It was so great seeing everybody again, getting the band back together, as it were.
We got to do our grades.
Oh, thank you, Aaron. Okay. Yep. We're not going anywhere. Hold on, folks.
Aaron,
I am the cat wrangler. What can
you are the cat wrangler.
And you have been upgraded to Admiral.
Admiral. Okay, Anna, you're the first on the list. What do you give this one?
I'd say a 9.
Oh, now that's saying a lot. That's a high Anna score.
It's a good episode. Spock, Kirk, and McCoy all get, I think, the right, I guess, character treatment, because they all, even if they don't have the equal amount of time, it's like they all are doing, I don't know, things that they would do, and it plays off of each other really well. So I really like that they all got, I guess, equal treatment as far as quality of their characters.
Quality scenes with their characters. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like quality versus quantity. So even though, obviously Spock is not being Spock, but we're seeing, Spock. Yeah. Well, it's like, who your real friends are in your like worst moments. And so that's what this episode is. It's like, even though you guys said it, even though him and McCoy don't get along, McCoy's there for him. McCoy's got both of their backs in this episode, and he's the one that figures out how to get out of this life and death situation, even though if he doesn't know that, Spock is going to, get out of the pond far with the reaction to Kirk's death. But it's a good episode. I like it. And it's one of the ones that if it's on, I'll just watch it. I don't care what part it is. And I enjoy it.
All right. That's a great. Aaron?
Well, I'm going to go with Anna again. This episode it's got everything I like in it. It's got some emotional depth, but there's a lot of stakes. There's very high stakes in this episode that, you think Kirk is dead when they have to fight. And then, of course, you think Spock's going to die if they don't get him to the planet in time. And then, of course, the friendship thing that, Anna brought up. I've yet to give a 10, and I'm not going to today. But I am going to give this a 9 because it's about as good as a Star Trek episode as you can get.
Okay. Ron?
10.
Ooh.
I'm going at the 10.
He's giving it a 10. Is that your first 10 so far?
It's literally probably one of the most remembered episodes, I think, in Star Trek history, first of all. I agree with everything Anna said, 100%, everything Aaron said, 100%. I think it's
wow, we agree on everything.
I know. Every once in a while.
Yeah. All of a sudden the Earth gets blown apart with an asteroid. I also have to give it a 10 because me and my brother, when we were little, watching the show back in the early 70s, we used to play Kirk versus Spock on Vulcan every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday was Kirk.
Every Wednesday, and every week either Kirk would win or Spock would win, and so it taps into my childhood memory so well with my brother, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and it brings me good feelings. So it's a 10 for me.
Excellent. I'm gonna go with the rest of the crowd. I give this a solid 9. It's almost perfect, and it's just unbelievably good.
I think a little more Pon farr and it would have been a 10 for me, but
I think the way they just made it gel, like Anna was saying, I was going to bring that point up, is how it was weird. They had the time off and then they came back to film the second season, and you can see the evolution and the comfort they have with each other, and then the writers, and they're really, really getting it now with this trio, and that's why they brought DeForest Kelley in, because he was, was the Kirk was here, and then you had the two voices in his head. One was logic, one was emotion, and it fed really well into that. Finally, like where it really evolved into that the show we really loved was this episode, I think. So
I agree.
Okay, there we go, guys. So that averages out to a 9.2, something like that. 9.5.
Well, you got 3 9 and 10. It would be
9.2.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I was going to give this episode, but last time I tried to do that, Ron got on my case for being too specific, so I just gave it a 9. But I would give it a 9.25.
Aaron.
Okay, since we all loved it, what was your guys' biggest irritation or critique of the episode?
Bones dressing down Nurse Chapel.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable, that scene. And I also, there's always in these type of things, especially in a television show, when you've got limited time, there's always a little bit of contrivance that allows them to get into the bad situation they're in. And I just felt, like I said earlier, that the only thing that really bugs me about this episode is the fact that Kirk and, McCoy didn't ask questions before Kirk, just off the cuff volunteered to go in there and fight without even knowing what the rules were. And then you're like, oh, by the way, it's to the death. And you're like, okay, great. Now, which was a great, how else could you get him in that situation? But
that reminds me too. What to me cancels all that was how deftly and brilliantly they fooled the audience with McCoy too.
Yes,
because I remember seeing it. I was like, I can't believe Captain Kirk is actually dead.
Yeah,
and in my brain, it didn't even register that he gave the injection.
Right.
Which they telegraphed it kind of, but they still did it in such a way and acted it out in such a way that you didn't know.
Yeah.
If you were watching it for the first time in 1967, you weren't thinking about that. You were just like, oh my God, how can Captain Kirk be dead? How could he, if he is dead, how do they bring him back?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
so that was a nice fake out.
Yeah. A lot of it was tricky, because if it was ham-fisted in there would have been in a certain way, it would have given it away, but they did it in such a way and explained it in such a way that early on enough in the episode that you forgot.
Now, let me ask you, is this at the very end, Starfleet gives permission. No, that's, it's already happened, but Starfleet says you have permission because T'Pau had contacted them, and right. I forget what she says to request the Enterprise there, but it seemed like what would happen to when
what made her do that?
What happened that Kirk went there without their approval? Was he going to get in a deep shit or?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think when you're out in deep space, I think you can get away with a lot of shit. That other planet or something, right? Yeah.
Well, but I mean, he had the conversation with the admiral who said you better be there, and that's the end of this discussion, right? So if he wasn't there, he had better have a good explanation. And I think they threw that in there to kind of tie it, not to leave that loose end out there hanging. So I was totally fine with that. Although it's kind of like, why would T'Pau after the fact? Maybe she felt guilty because Spock just killed his captain. I better make sure he doesn't get in more trouble. I mean, I'm not sure why she would contact them.
Well, maybe she contacted them to let them know that, Captain Kirk was killed on the planet, blah, blah, blah. No, that couldn't be it because Starfleet had given him the permission to go. So she must have said something to them,
Well, she may have also contacted them prior, and that how long subspace, it takes a little time for that message to get there and back. So
right. Well, yeah, it happened. Right. They got the message after the fact that it already happened.
Yeah.
No.
They said
probably. I'll accept that.
They couldn't deny her or whatever.
All right. I'm going from a 9.25 back to a 9 now.
We don't accept your 9.25. That's the aggregate score.
That's right.
That's when we can get the points.
Exactly.
All right, gang. Thank you again. Great seeing everybody. We will see you next week. And until then, live long and prosper. Bye.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to